Hi, and welcome to Free Motion Basics. This video is all about flowers. I'm going to show you how you can meander with swirl flowers, daisy chains, and rosebuds. I'm also going to show you how you can use flowers as fillers and even motifs. I'm hopefully going to inspire you to create your own free motion designs with flowers that you see in nature all around you. Flowers are just a fun, organic design that you can do. They can be fun and flirty or even romantic. So let's get started. But before we do, be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can check out our previous episodes on Free Motion Basics. To help you learn how to do flower designs in free motion quilting, we have created this downloadable PDF, which you can print out or you can throw on a tablet and draw like I'm going to do. We're going to start with our swirl flowers. This is a go-to easy design. All you have to do is start on the white dot, and we're just going to trace around. We're going to start with the swirl curl that we've done with the swirls in a previous video. Once you do that, you're going to come back around and you're just going to do 3, maybe 4, 3's the most common, of those petals around that before you move on to the next one. Remember, when you're practicing, to try to keep your pen in place, and if you go off the line, that's okay. It's about getting comfortable with the shape. You can change directions simply by elongating the meander straight parts. Just give them that little curvature to them, because that is what's just going to keep it feeling organic. Each one of these has a place underneath it where you can just practice doing it on your own without the template once you get really comfortable. Note that it's very easy to kind of switch directions so that your flowers don't look exactly the same each time in how they're starting, and that's just going to give it more of an organic feel. All right. Now that we've practiced, let's go do it for real on the quilt. Now we're going to practice our swirl flowers on our practice quilt. I've already pulled up my bobbin. I'm simply going to start by making a wavy line of some sort. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to do that first curve and start adding petals. Once I've added my last petal, again, most of the time I do 3, sometimes it's 4. It just kind of depends on how big of a swirl that I've created. I'm then ready to move on to the next one. These are just such a fun and easy design to meander with. They look complicated, but they're actually really easy. So it's a good place to start on your flower journey. The next one I'm going to show you directly on the quilt, but you can find a practice sheet on that downloadable I mentioned. And it's based on the swirl flower, but it is going to involve some echoing to fill in a design. So I've just made myself a little block here, and I'm just going to start the same way I started with the previous one. I'm going to start by adding that swirl flower. Once I've made the petals that I want to make, I'm then going to echo around them. I can echo as many times as I want in that space, and I feel like I have a little bit more space here that I could echo. And then if I'm kind of running out of area, I can just create some echoes to move to the next location, where I'm going to start another swirl flower. You see that one I did a little bit of a partial. You'll notice with these that I tend to keep the flowers a little bit closer together than I did in the flower meander that I showed you. And that's because the idea really is to fill in the space. What makes this a little bit more difficult is you do kind of have to think ahead a little bit on where you want your next flower to go, so you know when to kind of stop your echo. You can always go back to an area to fill in some additional echoing just to complete the look of the filler. Next, we're going to look at making daisies. Now, there's a couple different ways that you can do like these single daisies like we have here. You can have the center part, which on a flower is called the pistil, or you don't have that center circle. So we're actually going to start with the one with the circle first. You're simply just going to come around that circle, and as you reach the other end of the circle, that's when you want to start moving to do the next part. So come around, make your first petal, and then just kind of continue doing that. It's okay if the petals overlap a little bit. It's just going to add to that organic feel of the design. These petals are going to be a little longer in shape, a little bit more teardroppy in comparison to those swirl flowers we've been working on so far. Concept is similar if you want to do it without having the big circle center. You're just going to start in the center and work your way out with those long petals, coming back to that center point each time. As you can see, you can start in any direction that's comfortable for you. I did provide arrows to get you started, and again, you can practice those designs in the block below. The daisy chain is just a version of that where we're meandering. We're just simply going to reach a point and start adding those petals. And once we've added 5 or 6 petals, then we move to the next place that we want to, and we just continue doing that. Right, so let's practice the daisy chains first. I'm just connecting to the previous meandering flower swirls that I did. So I'm just going to come out. And when I'm ready, that's when I'm going to start to add the elongated petals. You can add loops to change direction if you like. I just find these fun and whimsical and are just going to add a different look to your quilting when you're free motioning. Since we're practicing our daisies, let's try some of those standalone examples that we did. So we'll do the one with the pistil first. As you come along, again, come out with those elongated petals. Stopping as you get to the circle there, and then continuing the next petal. So you can stop here to create more of a motif, or you could chain to the next location and just make larger flowers. So it's going to be similar. I'm going to create that circle. I can also travel in this, and maybe I want to make it more of like it has a stem and leaves, and so I could just simply travel to a location, find where I want to stop, and add whatever leaf shape that I want to do. Let's do one without our circle. So remember, this one you're coming back to that point each time that you make a petal. And you can see my petals are not all the same shape. That's okay. You'll get better if you want them to be the same shape, but remember that, nature isn't perfectly shaped either. And just like that previous one, we could meander to another location. Or again, fasten off at the center and have a motif. The Rosebuds is a design that I made up just to kind of create that look of those buds that are just starting to open. They have a little bit of a swirl part to them. You can add leaves wherever you like. Now let's try our rosebuds. Remember, this is a meander, so we're just going to start with kind of a wavy line. Get to the location. We're going to come up a little bit higher than we have been with our other meanders. Then you're going to come do that swirl, end at a point, and bring that down towards where you curved up to create that bud shape. Add leaves if desired, as many as you like. You can add the leaves anywhere on the chain as well. You could have a rosebud without. You can add hearts if you want to your chain, just to make it a little bit more fun and romantic. And you can switch directions. Again, great for maybe a Valentine's Day present or an anniversary, something like that, that you tend to give roses to. The last one I want to show you how to draw out is the rose motif. This one is really more of a top-down view of a rose, and it is a little bit more difficult, so I want to spend a little time drawing this out with you. We're going to start in the center, and we are going to start with kind of that hook. We're going to stop at a point and come back, and we are just going to kind of echo around that beginning part. Once we've almost gotten a complete circle, that's where we're going to start adding our petals. And this is where it gets a little bit more difficult, and you just need to feel a little bit more free. Your petals on the inside need to be smaller, but you can see I kind of have a variety of ones that are round and ones that have kind of that point to them. And then we're going to echo around to create those next layers, like when a rose opens up. So we're just going to continue to kind of echo, but change the shapes a little bit of the petals just to give it more of that natural feel. You can do this as many times as you like. And then if you want, you can add leaves, as I'm doing here. Just try to keep those consistent in size as you move to the next part. And then you can stop at a leaf as your ending point, as I've done here. Or if you want to create this more into a chain, you could continue this to the next location. All right, so now let's try our top view rose motif. Again, we're starting in the circle of this flower, so we're going to come around in a circle and stop. I'm going to trim off my excess here of my thread from when I pulled it up. And then we're going to create a point and curve back around. So we're just going to echo around that. And then once we get very close to that starting position, we're going to start to add our first petals. Remembering that the petals of an open rose are smaller on the inside and get larger as they go out. Feel free to change up the shapes of the petals so they look more rose-like. And then as I'm coming around to the next one where I started, I'm ready to start that next row. Again, coming up to the next one. I think I'll do this one a little bit more round. All right, I can do this as many times as I want. I think to me, I think 3 looks the best. So I'm going to start to add those leaves so I can get ready to finish. And again, I can just end at my leaf, or if I want to move to the next location, I can. And that's our rose motif. There are so many flowers out in nature, and I want you to look around and use them as inspiration. I just often like to doodle flowers and see how I can turn them into free motion designs. So I have an example here of a sunflower or a mum-like design. And then a couple of my favorite tropical flowers that I like to do are plumeria and hibiscus. I'd love to know in the comments below this video what flowers inspire your free motion designs. And be sure to like and subscribe and check out our previous playlist on free motion basics where we've covered things like pebbles and swirls and leaves that are going to help improve your flower design. And don't forget that in the description of this video, you can get the link to the free downloadable.